reckless behavior caused an accident, so he has to live with the consequences.
Okay, Mr. Carlson, you're suing Mr. Matthews for $4,662.23 because he gave you a car, but then he took it back. Tell me what happened.
So he made a promise. He made a promise that we will work on a car together. I will invest in the parts.
He's your uncle?
Yes, ma'am. He's my mom's
And have you always
brother.
had a good relationship with him?
Oh, yes, since younger years. He helped me grow up. He taught me how to play sports, trained me personally, and he allowed me to be older than my age, I can say.
Okay. So what happens? He decides he's going to buy you a car one day?
He felt like it was time for me to start driving, so he made an offer, a promise, that we would work on a refurbished car, a Chevy Corvette, and I will invest in all the parts. I spent $4,600 of my own money, invested in it. We worked on it together. We're not mechanics, but we took our time. It was petty things and also a paint job. So
the $4,600 represents the amount of money that you spent on parts for the car?
Parts and paint job and wheels.
Okay. But that's money you spent?
Yes, ma'am.
So what kind of car was this?
It's a Chevy Corvette.
Nice. What year?
It is a 1989.
Okay.
I also have proof of the receipt for all the parts.
Okay. Can I see that?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
So what happened that this nice gesture all of a sudden went south?
We knocked it out. The car was basically almost complete. Unfortunately, one night I was getting off of work. I'm a bar back at a bar. I had a drink or two, and I called my uncle for a ride. I didn't want to take a chance on driving home drunk. So I called him, asked him, can he give me a ride home? He said yes. He sounded a little hesitant.
What time of night was it?
It's about midnight, one-ish. But he said he would give me a ride home, so hey, it's my uncle. Thank you.
How far was it?
It wasn't, probably like 20-minute drive.
Okay. It's midnight. Somebody calls me and I got to drive 40 minutes? Yeah, that's a problem.
Right.
That's when you're taking a ride share. But go ahead anyway. So he goes to pick you up.
He goes to pick me up. We take the drive home. I was a little tipsy, so.
Little.
Hold on.
Unfortunately,
we'll get your side in a second.
Unfortunately, we had an accident.
How did the accident happen?
I was playing music and kind of dancing and had a little fun while I was in the passenger seat.
Are you in the passenger? Okay.
Yes, ma'am. I'm in the passenger seat. So I was enjoying myself on the way home. Thought my uncle could handle that. And we had an accident.
How did the accident happen?
I was trying to change the music, I guess.
And okay, that doesn't usually cause an accident. So how did the accident happen?
I wasn't completely aware, Your Honor.
Okay, how did the accident happen, Uncle?
Well, my nephew, Your Honor, was more than inebriated. He was a lot drunk, you know, and he wasn't just playing music. He was also putting his hands in my face, obstructing my vision.
How so?
You know, as you say, he was having fun.
Hold on, let the man talk. Go ahead, don't talk to each other. Go ahead.
As he said he was having a little fun, he was having a little fun putting his hand in my face, just like that.
So you're driving and he's going like this?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
And also...
wait. So if you're driving and someone's going like that and moving their hands in front of your face, why don't you just stop driving?
Why don't I stop driving? Well, I'm trying to get us home safely, Your Honor.
No, exactly. So why don't you stop driving, like instead of, you know, continuing to drive?
Well, it's in the middle of me driving, and we're like in the middle of the road, Your Honor.
No, I don't mean stop in the middle of the road. I mean pull over.
Oh, well, that just didn't happen, Your Honor.
Okay, so he's going like this, and you just say, all right, I'm just going to keep driving. And then what happens?
At that point, I'm trying to knock his hands down, Your Honor.
Okay.
And also, I don't know why he tried to take the wheel like his name is Jesus, but I'm just trying to figure out why he's trying to take the wheel. But at that point...
He took the wheel?
Yes, Your Honor.
He grabbed the wheel?
He grabbed the wheel, Your Honor.
Okay, and
so
then...
when that happened, that point, I'm pushing him over, trying to make sure he stops, and we start to veer over a little bit, and then we go into a fence, and my car gets totaled.
Okay. What kind of car were you driving?
2005 Chevrolet, Chevy Impala. Yes, ma'am.
With all due respect, what is that hoopty worth?
The hoopty? Well, it's worth a lot to me, Your Honor.
Well, I mean, it's old enough to vote.
It's old enough to vote,
Yeah.
but also it's old enough to get me from to and fro to work.
Coming up on Justice for the People.
Were you putting your hands in his face and then pulling on the wheel?
I was doing a lot.
What were you doing? What were you doing? Instead of sitting there quietly and sheepishly saying, I'm so sorry I woke you up, Uncle. I mean, that's what you should be doing, and keeping your mouth shut for the 20-minute ride. What were you doing?
If you'll be in the Los Angeles area and want to bring your case to court, call 1-888. This is Justice for the People with Judge Millian. We're back with a dispute between Jacob Carlson and his uncle Kyle Matthews over a restored car.
You feel the accident was his fault, and therefore you took over the restored
that we did
Corvette
together, Your Honor.
that you guys put all that work that you were supposed to give to him, that he put $5,000 into.
I put $5,000 into the car as well. Well, $5,600.
Right, but you were always going to give that up. Right?
Yeah,
because
as an agreement.
Tell me how the car purchase came about and the work on it and everything else.
All right, so this is my older sister's one and only son, right? So I love my nephew. Like he said, he grew up with me. We're 10 years apart. So we did everything together. I helped him out in basketball, helped him out with sports, you know? And I noticed he loves cars, old cars specifically. And I had a friend who was selling an old car, the Corvette. And then I got it for, a steal.
How much did you pay for it?
I paid $5,600, Your Honor.
Right, but which is a steal, and then you tell him, I'd like to give you this gift. We'll work on it together.
Yes.
And so then he puts almost $5,000 of his dollars into it, but the end plan is always that car is going to be his.
That was the end plan until he wrecked my car.
All of a sudden, you took over it because the entire accident is his fault because he pulled the wheel.
Yes.
And that's how you. What is your answer to that?
I disagree, Your Honor.
How can you disagree or agree? You're too intoxicated to know what happened, aren't you? Or no?
Right.
Well, no, hold on.
I was intoxicated, but he agreed to get me home.
No, I understand, but were you putting your hands in his face and then pulling on the wheel?
I was doing a lot.
What were you doing? What were you doing? Instead of sitting there quietly and sheepishly saying, I'm so sorry I woke you up, Uncle. I mean, that's what you should be doing, and keeping your mouth shut for the 20-minute ride. What were you doing?
I was out of my body, I can say.
Acting like
I couldn't stop talking. You were what?
I was a little out of my body, I'm sorry.
You were a little what?
A little tipsy.
Tipsy. Okay, but what were you physically doing in the car? What were you doing?
Dancing. I was enjoying myself on my way home.
Okay, but you were enjoying yourself in the field of vision of the driver?
I guess my arms are a little too long. I'm sorry.
Okay, and then did you, yes or no, did you pull on the steering wheel?
I can't say I pulled the steering wheel. I know I was dancing.
Or you won't?
I was a little tipsy. I'm sorry.
So you don't remember?
I can't remember.
So I have one witness in the car because you're too drunk to remember?
Yes, ma'am.
Did he ever tell you right away? Listen up. When you sobered up after the crash, did he say, why did you pull the wheel? Or did he say anything to you?
Well, after the accident...
I'm not talking to you. You'll know I'm talking to you because I will be looking at you and waiting for a response. I parked my car at a valet, and when I drove off, I realized that it had been damaged. The little stub says not responsible, and so they refused to pay. What can I do?
Wow. That little stub, I don't think that is going to carry the day for them if you make a claim against them.
I don't think so either, because they don't hand that to you until the transaction's over. Right. And the essence of a contract is that the two of you are agreeing on something before you do the transaction.
Right. They've already got the car and the keys, and boom, they hand that to you and they drive off.
Right.
Right? So, yeah, whether you've had a chance to really read it and consider it, etc., it's pretty dubious. I don't think that's going to be enforced.
The problem is usually that people realize that this happened a little too late.
Yes, that's always the way.
I got home. It's the next day. Well, that must have been at the valet.
Yeah, it was dark out that night.
So
and the car was perfect when I
have done
there.
so many of these cases that I have this habit. When we pick up a car from valet, if they are coming, I am looking. I'm looking. I see the front of the car.
Right.
I see this side of the car. I always travel this way so that I can see the back of the car. And then I overstep it a few so I can see, so that now I've seen the whole car, and then I get in.
Right. You are meticulous.
I am. I mean, I don't sit there with a microscope or anything, but if there was big damage, I would notice it. I probably wouldn't notice a scratch, but if there was like big damage, a dent, it wouldn't go unnoticed.
Well, when we rent cars with a rental car,
you're really lazy about that.
I just get in them and drive off. Marilyn, if you're with me, you always get out. Stop the car. You get out.
Wait, I don't like your
walk
tone.
around.
I don't like how you just imitated me. Stop the car.
Stop the car. Yes, and then you look at it and you look around it, and sometimes it pays off.
Of course it does, because they won't have noted the
there's a big
damage.
scratch over here.
And then I'm going to get stuck with it. No, you always do that.
Right.
When you rent a car, you always walk around it,
Right.
and then you tell the person as you're checking out, please note the damage that wasn't noted here, here, and here. And then they,
there's got to be a happy medium between me, who does nothing, and you, who are, let's face it, a little bit...
neurotic?
We might say. Like when we go...
Perfectionist. That's what you were going to say, right?
When you go to the drive-thru and you've got a car full of people and you've got all these different orders and the bag comes and there's people behind you who are waiting, I just grab the bag and throw it at people and I drive off. Marilyn, you make me
check
not
the
only
order.
check every item, but then start. One guy had a burger with no pickles. I'm there deconstructing burgers and unwrapping and looking
You don't
at
even
them.
check it.
Well, only if you make me do it.
Hopefully
I
there's
don't
a
wanna be
happy
jerk
medium
and-
between...
I don't want to be a jerk and audit their work.
Well, to audit their work, check for each thing. It's not so hard, because once you get home, guess what?
Yeah, you're screwed.
Yeah.
You know what's really bad, though?
It's kind of funny because it's always the same child in our house who always doesn't get her order.
Or you don't get the dipping sauce with those chicken nuggets or something.
Yeah.
It's like,
take a second.
And then you can't get it.
Coming up.
Okay. You guys crash. What are the first words out of his mouth?
I was just happy we was alive. So I really
but what
wasn't...
did he say? You idiot. You pulled the wheel?
He made me feel like I was immature, sure.
Closed captioning. Million. We're back with a dispute between Jacob Carlson and his uncle Kyle Matthews over a restored car.
Go ahead.
After the accident, we basically got into an argument, and he made it clear that he wasn't going to give me my car anymore.
Right, but what did he... Okay. You guys crash. What are the first words out of his mouth?
I was just happy we was alive. So I really
but what
wasn't...
did he say? You idiot. You pulled the wheel?
He made me feel like I was immature, sure. But
Yeah, no. Did he blame you for the accident?
yes, ma'am. He blamed me.
Right away?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so I imagine the accident sobered you up a little.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
Quickly.
and so did you realize that you had pulled the wheel?
I realized that I may have caused him a distraction.
No, that's not what I'm asking. Do you, as you stand here, do you remember?
No, ma'am. I do not remember.
You just don't
grabbing
remember.
the
You're
wheel.
not saying it did happen. You're not saying it didn't happen. You are saying you do not remember pulling the wheel.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, but you can tell me two things. Number one, that he says that you pulled the wheel. And number two, that he said it from Jump Street. He
Yes,
said
ma'am.
it from the moment of the crash.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. See, from what you're describing, this accident is your fault, right?
I was tipsy, and he agreed to bring me home.
Okay, I might agree to bring you home, but I don't agree for you to take the wheel of my car and cause us to crash and cost me a car. There are two different things. All I agreed to do was bring you home. I don't expect you to cost me $4,000-something, right? So I have to decide whose fault that accident is. And basically, I have one cogent witness in the car because you're admitting to me that, my arms might be long, and I was fooling around, and I was dancing. I thought he could handle it. And and you admit to me that from Jump Street, the man said to you, you just pulled the wheel of my car. That was his testimony from the beginning. It isn't something that he just made up now because he's angry and he's mad at you and he's thought about it, so he's cooked it up. No, from the very moment, from the beginning, he has said that. So if I was a betting woman, I would bet that, in fact, you ended up pulling the steering wheel. So the question is, what do we do with that?
Coming up.
So you have a choice, okay? Either he gives you the money for your car and you give him the Corvette, or you keep the Corvette and you give him back the money that he paid.
Closed captioning. We're back with a dispute between Jacob Carlson and his uncle Kyle Matthews over a restored car.
I realize that what you want is the car. And I realize that what you want is the money that you are out from your car. And that's great, but if he pays you the money that you're out from the car, then that car belongs to him, doesn't it? If he pays you for your Impala, he has made you whole, hadn't he? So you have a choice, okay? Either he gives you the money for your car and you give him the Corvette, or you keep the Corvette and you give him back the money that he paid.
If he pays me the money for my car being totaled, that's totally fine. I can
And then the Corvette is his. Well, I need an answer because I'm going to issue an order that's going to specifically say something.
What?
So, I need you to understand what I'm trying to say here. You gave him a gift of $5,000. You gave it to him. Yeah, the car, when you bought the car. You're taking back, listen.
It's in my name, though, Your Honor.
Listen.
Okay.
You gave him a gift of $5,000. He hasn't taken possession of it yet, but you gave it to him because this was always going to be his car. Then he screws up and costs you $4,000 something dollars. But also, he put $4,000 something dollars into the car that you're driving. You see? So if he pays you the money for your 2005 Impala, okay, then he gets title to the car.
I understand that.
All right, so is that what you want to do? Because the alternative is you're either going to have to pay him back because you're keeping not only your $5,000 that you gave him, but also his $4,600 when you keep the Corvette. You understand?
I understand that.
Which way do you want? You want to keep the Corvette or you want to get rid of it? It's your nephew. It was meant for him.
It's my nephew, but he's immature.
Yeah, no, he's totally immature. He's got drunk one night. He caused an accident. Yeah, there before the grace of God go all of us.
Judge Million's verdict when justice for the people returns. Promotional consent. Judge Million.
Knowing that, what do you want to do? And knowing the eyes of the nation are upon you.
Your Honor, I understand he's my nephew.
Okay.
But he needs some tough love as well.
Okay.
But,
so, then you are going to have to pay him back his $4,662.23 because you have, yes, because you're keeping your $5,000 gift to him. That's the part you don't seem to be getting. You handed your nephew a $5,000 gift. I bought you a Corvette. We're going to work on it together. Then your nephew put $4,000 something into parts. So now you've got a $9,000 Corvette, you see. And then when you want to punish him for a $4,000 something mistake, you're saying, I'm taking $9,000. You get it? Verdict for the plaintiff, $4,662.23, and you keep the Corvette. Now you are made whole.
All rise.
Judge Million has ruled in favor of the plaintiff. The defendant owes $4,662.23.
I'm disappointed that it was my uncle, but I'm satisfied with the outcome.
I don't see how a child can be rewarded in this justice system, so...
Judy Wilcox claims her judgmental father-in-law raided her fridge and threw away expensive food she needed for an event. Scott Wilcox says the seafood had spoiled and he was afraid the party guests would get sick.
Miss Wilcox, you are suing your father-in-law, Mr. Wilcox, for $400 because he threw away your expensive seafood. Please tell me what's going on here.
Yes, Your Honor. I had an extravagant party that I was hosting for my son's school, and Mr. Wilcox here threw away all my seafood that I had in the refrigerator.
All right, let's back up a little bit and tell me about your relationship with your father-in-law.
I wish it could be better. However, it's not the best due to him not having any respect for me, for my household, for me as a woman, as a mother, as a wife. And
why do you think that is? What has he done that has made you feel that way?
It just feels like a very belittling relationship. He's always comparing me to his wife, who is no longer present with us. He's always, it seems to be, excluding me out of activities that he plans with my husband and our children. And I feel like he tries to ask me at the last minute just so that I don't have time to go because he knows I'm busy, but he doesn't really want me there.
That's right. Not true. Have you ever talked to your husband about that?
Yeah, he said he didn't want to get in the middle of it.
Now, I understand that, but if he doesn't want to get in the middle, then he has to get in the middle. That's exactly what, when he has two people he loves that aren't getting along, then the way he stops that is by getting in the middle and getting everybody to come on the same page here. We're a family. All right, so go ahead. What happens? Give me an example of a time that you believe that he has, disrespected your parenting.
Well, he watches our kids pretty often. He just seems very judgmental of how the house is. He'll make comments like, "Oh, it just seems like no one's cleaning up around here. Son, what type of woman do you have?
Son, what type of woman do you have?
Yes.
In front of you?
Well,
and your husband says nothing?
The next room. He kind of says like, "Dad, come on, Dad," but. He doesn't stand up to his dad because his dad is very toxic and stern and military background. So he's just always like trying to respect him. And
why don't you get another babysitter?
Because
it's really hard, right?
I mean, come on, I'm suing him for $400 seafood.
Okay, let's talk about that. So there was an incident before your party that you got very upset about. Tell me about that.
Well, I had come home one day, my husband and I, and my father-in-law was watching our son, and I walked in and he had spanked him.
Did you walk in on him spanking your son?
Well, I walked in and he was striking him.
Yeah, okay.
So that really upset me because I don't hit my children. I don't abuse them. I believe in gentle parenting. I believe in talking and talking things through. And he didn't, I mean, he had no regard to acknowledging that I was upset. You know, he just took it up with my husband as if I wasn't even present, and that he didn't even care that I'm upset, and I'm sitting here telling my husband and my son and trying to console him. And I mean, at the end, I felt like it was just the worst and the wrong thing to do without my permission, because I don't raise my children that way.
So what'd you tell him?
I told him don't he ever put his hands on my children again, and I took my son and we just went into the next room. All
right, and then did you see each other after that, or there was like a chilly, hold on a second, I'll get to you in a moment, separation?
He's always there.
Okay, so
you would think he lives
all right,
there.
So then what happened? So you're setting up this party, and your husband and you decide that you're going to hire someone to clean the house.
Well, because I had told my husband that my seafood ticket was about $400, he was like, well, let's not hire a cleaner. And you know, like I said, his dad has military background and he suffers from like PTSD, OCD or something. I don't know. He just has a cleaning problem. And he's like, let my father do it. And I'm like, well, I guess. And I went.
It's a bad idea.
I mean, it's not a bad idea.
In other words, you want boundaries, but then you also want, here's a problem. Sometimes you got to call it, you got to decide what's better, free childcare and the grandfather always there, or you setting the boundaries down. If your husband won't, and I understand everybody, including your husband. So you decide, yeah, that'll be great. He's going to clean the house. And then you send him a text with instructions on what to do. Yes. And then you get to the house on the night of the party and you're ready to do, you had bought what, like raw seafood that you were going to cook?
Coming up on Justice for the People.
But you
okay, but hold on. I'm going to take care of this. I've been taking care of it for 30-something years without your assistance. So don't talk to him now because you're not in your living room. Now you're in my living room.
If you'll be in the Los Angeles area and want to bring your case to court, call 1-888-552-6878. Closed captioning provided. We're back with the case of Judy Wilcox, who blames her father-in-law, Scott Wilcox, for trashing her expensive seafood.
I have my evidence here. I have the text message, and then on my menu, I have salmon cutlets, caviar and crackers, cocktail shrimp, baked brie and bread, prosciutto, and salami.
All right, and according to you, you came home, and what was missing?
All of it. I opened the refrigerator, and nothing's there.
And so?
And so I go into the room where he was finishing cleaning up, and I'm like, where's the seafood at? And he proceeds to say, oh, that seafood that smelled bad, it was raw. I wanted to make sure you didn't serve it to your guests. And
he threw it out?
He threw it away. And here I am. It's 6:30. My party starts at 8.
So what'd you do?
I ended up having to go buy food from the local deli, which I have the receipt here, and from one menu of caviar to a menu of deli finger sandwiches.
Mr. Wilcox,
yes,
what
ma'am.
happened here?
I just want to say that my daughter-in-law is just dramatic. She over-dramatizes everything. And I take offense to the word strike. A strike is like in baseball or a third strike in a criminal justice. This is not a strike if I spank my grandson on the bottom.
But you
okay, but let me, hold on. Okay, now it's my turn. I'm going to take care of this. I've been taking care of it for 30-something years without your assistance. So don't talk to him now because you're not in your living room. Now you're in my living room. All right.
Yes, sir.
I have a question for you.
Yes,
Do you
ma'am.
go around spanking everybody's kid?
No, this is a moment.
This is not your listen, you're a grandparent. You don't have the right to do something that the parents have not given you the right to do.
But this was in a situation where in the future it could have caused a bigger problem
Okay,
for
you're
my
trying to
grandson.
persuade me, and you're never going to,
Yes.
that spanking is a good form of punishment. I don't begrudge you, and the law doesn't begrudge you the opportunity for you to discipline your children unless it is tantamount to child abuse, all right, which is illegal. I am telling you right now, you don't have any rights when it comes to your grandkids for you to decide how it is that you're going to discipline them. What is it he had done?
He was going, pretty berserk and wild in the house, throwing things about. And when I went to grab at him, he bit my hand. So it was just an instance where I wanted to teach my grandson.
Yeah, I understand, but it's not your. Do you understand now that it's not your prerogative to decide whether to do that?
It may not, but however,
and he's only
we are built,
ma'am.
We are built on rules and discipline, and this is the reason why we're successful in this country.
This is not your child.
Fair enough.
Don't do that again. What did your son tell you when that happened?
He didn't say much. Did
your son tell you, Dad, don't do that?
Well, he knows that I'm not a overly violent person. I
don't care how hard you hit him. If the parents don't, if one of the two parents doesn't want you hitting him, you don't hit. It's not yours to decide. Okay?
Yeah.
So you come over to clean.
Yes.
And you went above and beyond and threw out food that she'd purchased for this event. You had purchased it how long before?
The day before. The
day before. So why?
However, when she did give me instructions on cleaning up, I did clean up several rooms, kitchen, dining room. And as I go to the kitchen to clean off the counters, I smell the fish smell coming from the refrigerator.
Okay, why don't you ask rather than throwing it out?
Because it just smelled like it was spoiled. I've been around.
Right, why don't you ask and say, hey, this smells terrible. I don't think you should serve this.
I'm just used to taking charge. If I see something that needs to be done, I just take care of it.
She feels that you've been criticizing her skills, ability as a mother, as a wife, as a homemaker. Have you ever criticized her?
Yes, I have.
And what is it you've been criticizing?
Just on her long work hours, lack of attention with the children. She doesn't spend enough time with them, in my opinion.
Viewers asked, and now Judge Millian has the answer.
My neighbor built a fence that extends about 4 feet onto my property. Can I make him move it? Can I sue him to get it moved?
You can tear it down. It's on your property. I don't suggest that you do that.
But you have the right to.
You have the right to. But what you should do is alert them to, first of all, get a survey and make sure you're right. And see if there's a dueling surveys that have different information, but
which can happen.
Right. And sometimes, well, but I put it right where the other fence was. Well, that other fence was wrong 30 years ago.
Right.
So there should be a survey done, which costs a couple of $100. So people never do that. They go straight to small claims court, and and then neither side has the evidence they need to win. So you need to get a survey done, and then
and don't sit on your hands, because there is also a concept in the law called adverse possession.
That's right.
And it varies from state to state. They have different periods of time.
Right.
Where if you just kind of let it sit there.
And they can prove you knew about it on day 1, and now day 20, year 20 has passed.
Right.
Then all of a sudden, no, they have a right to keep it there. They have an easement there.
It becomes somebody else's land.
Yeah.
All of a sudden it magically becomes owned by somebody else.
Right.
And this is like this rule of adverse possession is a throwback to an earlier time in this country, really, where people would go out west and settle land and get on land and make it productive and create a farm and things like that in land that maybe belonged to somebody else but was just idle forever. And they came up with this idea that, oh, well, you're somehow improving it, and oh, now it's yours. It's been 21 years, okay, now it's yours. It's been 15 years, whatever it might be, now it's yours. But honestly, nowadays it seems kind of outdated.
It seems kind of outdated, doesn't it?
Yeah, very outdated. It doesn't seem to make a whole lot of sense.
Right.
It's like being a squatter in a house.
Right.
You sit there long enough, it's going to be your house, really?
Coming up.
If you think she won't throw out bad fish, you talk to your son and say, son, you guys can't serve this. This stinks. But at some point, it's their party and not yours.
Closed caption with Judge Millian. We're back with the case of Judy Wilcox, who blames her father-in-law, Scott Wilcox, for trashing her expensive seafood.
But here's the thing, you can't be an enabler and then complain about the behavior. If you feel like they need to get a realistic dose of what parenting is and you don't want to babysit every Friday, then just say, no, I've got plans this Friday. That's all you got to do.
Fair enough, yes.
Right. And if they're both working, they can afford, you know, a babysitter. So, but how do you, I don't understand how you throw out stuff from someone else's refrigerator without consulting them.
I want to point out that I did not throw any baked brie bread or any prosciutto salami. It was only spoiled fish.
Okay, but why would you throw that out without saying, hey, that fish smells terrible, and letting them in their house throw it out if that's what they want to do?
Well, the first thing I thought about is food contamination, food poisoning, who she's serving the food to.
So it's not that you didn't think about it. You actually thought about it and said, oh, man, she's so silly. She's going to serve this poison food, so let me throw it out.
Exactly.
Okay, that's overstepping a boundary that you shouldn't overstep. If you think she won't throw out bad fish, you talk to your son and say, son, you know, you guys can't serve this. This stinks. But at some point, it's their party and not yours.
Yeah, but my son rarely gets involved in any situation that she handles around the house.
I don't know. The more I get to know the two of you, the smarter I think your son is. I was giving him grief before, but now I'm not so sure.
He's toxic.
So I was
don't insult your father-in-law in the courtroom when there was no question posed to you, like I've explained before, okay?
Coming up.
Like if you were the cleaning lady and you took it upon yourself to clean out that refrigerator without permission and throw out something that was purchased the day before, that might be a problem.
This is Justice for the People with Judge Millian. We're back with the case of Judy Wilcox, who blames her father-in-law, Scott Wilcox, for trashing her expensive seafood.
This is crazy. You went out then because of the lack of I take it at some point you did find the prosciutto and the crackers and all that stuff, right?
Yeah, later in the evening.
So you went out and you spent money again at the store, and show me that receipt. And show me the original receipt also. All right. And you're suing for both of these combined, but then he'd be paying... Okay, court is about making you whole, all right? It's that side did me wrong, and I want them to pay for the wrong. It's not about putting, you know, ching ching, let the cash register ring, put me above where I was. If I make him pay for both, then you're in a better position than if he hadn't thrown out the fish, because then you'd have the food for free, right? Which you never anticipated doing. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to look at this and I'm going to say, yeah, he did you wrong. He did. Like if you were the cleaning lady and you took it upon yourself to clean out that refrigerator without permission and throw out something that was purchased the day before, that might be a problem. And you have a very overinflated sense of your role in there where, and it's kind of, you're letting him have it and your husband's letting him have it because you need him so much. To the point where he's cleaning the house. I mean, that's, you know, figure it out. If you want him to be at length, then keep him more at length. If you want him to be all in the grill, then set the rules and make sure the rules don't get violent. I'll be honest with you. You could be a super hands-on, you know, grandfather in this family and all involved in their stuff and just not throw away the food without permission. You see, like you could still be all around there. You know, it doesn't have to be standoffish and just once a month, but darn, man, have a little respect. This is not your house.
Judge Millian's verdict when Justice for the People returns. From This is Justice for the People with Judge Millian.
I am going to rule in your favor, but in the amount that was thrown out. That would make you whole. $210.03, verdict for the plaintiff. This does not resolve the real problem. You guys have a problem. You have how many children?
2.
You love your children?
Yes.
You love your grandkids?
Yes, I do.
You have got to figure out what the rules are in the house, okay? And you've got to figure out what you've got to do so you can be able to get along with your father-in-law, because trust me, having a relationship with your father-in-law is so in your best interest and in the children's best interest. You know that because you have free child care of someone who you know loves them, right?
Yeah.
All right, so guys, take a moment in your private lives, the two of you, and figure out how to make it so that this family is a successful, happy, well-adjusted family with mutual respect. Got it? Okay. Good luck, folks.
Thank you.
All rise.
Judge Millian has ruled in favor of the plaintiff. The defendant owes $210.03.
At the end of the day, we put him in a nursing home when the time comes. He'll never throw away my food again.
I just want to say I agree with the judgment, but the fish was nice now.
Gerald Barnes claims his former employee damaged an expensive carpet cleaning machine. Sylvia Lewis says she told the plaintiff that the machine was leaking, but he did nothing. Ms. Lewis is countersuing for $600.
Mr. Barnes, you are suing Ms. Lewis for $2,317 in damages that you say are her fault to equipment. She's your former employee. You are counterclaiming against him $600 in wages that he has withheld. Let's hear from you first. What happened?
Yes, ma'am. I am a recovering addict that recently started a cleaning business. It's been about 2 years since it's been going. I go out of my way to make sure I'm hiring people, give them second chances in regards to, you know, recovery and all that stuff, because someone gave me a second chance one time and it really changed my life, and I'm just trying to pay it forward.
Okay.
In regards to that. The reason we're unfortunately here today is because Miss Lewis she's been a great employee for me for the past 5 months, but the past like 3 weeks it's been kind of rough, and I fear that she might have relapsed.
Why?
Well, the thing is, just from my experience, I'm pretty good with people. And, you know, it's just the fact that she wasn't showing up for anything.
Did you ever talk to her and say, why didn't you show up?
I tried to. The thing is, she just kind of came in one day and was telling me that the job's, like, too hard. But I'm just trying to hold her accountable, Your Honor.
Is that the reason you think she's using? Because she quit? Because she thought the job was too hard?
No, it's not that. I mean, it is...
Does she do offices or houses? What were you doing?
I was doing a combination of the two.
So how many sites did you have her going to each day?
3 sites a day.
Okay. And according to you, was it 3 sites a day?
It was absolutely not. He kind of, you know, he works with a lot of halfway houses and transitional living programs, and we were told that it was 3 houses a day, which at $60 times 3 obviously would be $180 a day, but it's 1, maximum 2 a day. And sometimes we work with other people, so we have to split those wages entirely.
So how was it too burdensome then? It sounds like it's not enough work from what you're saying.
Well, it varies. So sometimes I'll have another person working with me.
Or are you saying that it's just too much work for the little pay?
Exactly. It's not enough pay for how much energy and work we put into exerting on a daily basis.
What happened with the, he says you broke his machine.
Yes, there was a crack in the water tank.
How did you find that out?
Well, I had initially told him that I thought something was wrong with the water tank because it was dripping liquid, and he told me not to worry about it because sometimes, you know, after every time we're cleaning, I clean out all the equipment and maintain it and inspect it and make sure everything's clean, and it was dripping water, and he told me not to worry about it.
Did you see a crack in it?
I didn't see a crack in it. I just saw that it was dripping water, and when I brought it to his attention, which is what we're told to do in our employee handbook, he told me not to worry about it. Like,
when did you bring it to his attention?
I brought it to his attention a few months ago.
Did you keep using it after that?
I kept using it after that, and it wasn't leaking as far as I was concerned until the actual leak happened.
Problem.
Yes.
And so tell me about what happened that day.
That day, I was working with another coworker of mine, and we were cleaning one of the carpets that we clean a lot of carpets, and so essentially what happened was it started leaking dirty condensed water, and we decided we would use his machine instead of my machine. And right away, which is under our company's rule book, I told him about it immediately.
And what did he say?
He proceeded to blame me for the entire thing, even though I'd brought the leak to his attention initially. And all I can really do, you know, this equipment is 5 years old. You have, if you were to buy it through the company, you have a warranty that's up to 2 years. So, I mean, to me, he has no business insurance. He's not renewing warranties. I can't be held entirely responsible for the malfunctioning of a machine. I did everything that was required.
Did you do anything to break the...
I did nothing to break the machine, Your Honor.
Okay. What leads you to the conclusion that she did something that broke the machine?
Okay, well, the thing is, when checking the machine to make sure it's working correctly, there is a water reservoir that you do have to change, right? And that leads, you know, to some water coming out of the machine, you know, and then...
She told you that it was leaking.
Right.
And you told her, don't worry about it?
Correct. Because the thing is...
And then later on, something happened, and it seems like people should have worried about it?
Well, the thing is, Your Honor, I have some evidence here saying, showing that this is not just regular water. This is concentrated...
Let me see that.
This is concentrated dirty water due to a buildup inside of the machine.
How is this going to tell me what you're saying? I thought this... What is this?
Oh, that shows on their way here. Can you give her this too as well, please? I'm sorry about that, Your Honor.
Yeah, but what is that? What am I looking at?
That's a concentrated dirty water.
Is this a carpet?
That's a carpet, yes.
Is this the customer's carpet where the big spill happened?
Yes.
Correct.
And then I'm supposed to look at that and know this isn't just water, it's what?
It's concentrated dirty water.
Well, what do you think is going to spill out of the container but concentrated dirty water?
Well, correct. I mean, if it was working properly, if it was brought to my attention earlier...
Wait, she did bring it. You just admitted that she brought it to your attention, and you said, don't worry about it. Did you inspect the machine at that point?
At that point, I did, Your Honor. However, the thing was...
Did you find anything wrong with it?
I did not at the time.
How was she supposed to?
Coming up on Justice for the People.
So they tried to finish a job with that machine.
Right.
So really, tú no pintas nada, as we say in Spanish. You don't paint anything in that picture.
And later...
I think it's really sad that we find ourselves here. Did she charge you for planning the funeral?
No, Your Honor.
No. Right. She did it out of the goodness of her heart because she loved your wife.
Judge Milian. We're back with the case of Gerald Barnes, who blamed Sylvia Lewis for damaging a carpet cleaning machine.
Was there someone with her?
At the time, yes, ma'am.
And is that person an employee of yours?
Yeah, he is. I actually have an affidavit.
Oh, let's see. Let's see.
Thank you. Okay. Because his name is Jason Charles.
During the course of our work, Sylvia Lewis used her carpet cleaning machine, which unfortunately started leaking dirty water, staining the carpet. I inspected the machine and identified that the water tank was cracked, causing the leakage. I informed her about the issue and that the machine would need replacement. I advised her against using the compromised equipment as it would result in further damage. You ever use the equipment again?
No, I didn't use the equipment again. I mean, he goes on to say, I acknowledge the issue, and we used a different machine.
Yeah.
I don't know what else.
And then you guys weren't able to, I mean, what's the big deal? Why weren't you guys able to, apparently you couldn't clean the dirty water out of the carpet with his machine. It's just dirty water. I don't know why it wouldn't come out with his machine.
Because it had leaked so much water, there was some oversaturation issue.
Okay. And
he's saying, again, that I'm responsible for that, even though it has to do with the leak.
Okay, but your employee doesn't say that she did anything wrong.
Well, the thing is, for me, it's the breach of contract because it was her machine. They are hired as independent contractors.
Can I see the agreement you have with her, the independent contractor again? Let me see that.
But the thing is, Your Honor, that it is her duty to, if something is wrong with the machine.
But she did. That's the part I don't understand.
Okay.
You say it's her duty to tell me if something's wrong. She did tell you that something was wrong. You looked at it.
I looked at it. Okay, go ahead.
You looked at it.
Sorry.
And when was that in relation to when this job happens that stains the carpet?
This was like the first like month or two that I actually
And did you ever look at it again?
No, because it wasn't brought to my attention.
All right, and did it ever leak between month 1 or 2 and month 5 when
it had no issues, Your Honor, which could be evidenced by the fact that all the other jobs I
there wasn't anything wrong any other time. So I guess that's if after this day she had gone somewhere else and used the machine, I would understand your lawsuit. What I don't understand is why you're not only withholding 10 paychecks from her, but you're also on top of that suing her for another $2,000 because she's got to pay for the machine when you have zero evidence that she handled it negligently. Report any malfunctions or issues to the supervisor immediately. Did you fail to do that at any time?
I did not,
You
Your
did that at the
Honor.
beginning when it happened the one time? And then you did that after it happened this time. So what did she do wrong?
As you can see, the second piece of evidence I gave you, the second picture, Your Honor. Yeah, you can see clearly that the carpet is, it's like it bubbles up. You can see it because that only happens when you oversaturate the carpet. That is not.
Right, but how do you know how long that took?
That takes over a while, and that actually takes. That's a.
How long do you think that woman spent cleaning that one piece of carpet?
No, I understand that, but my training is literally saying that there's a way to do it the right way, and that, Your Honor, is.
So literally, in your mind, every single employee of yours who has where one of your machines malfunctions, it's going to be their fault.
No. Okay, my thing is, in our loaner agreement, it was, you know, if the machine stopped working, she should have let me know.
She did tell you. She told you in January, and she told you again when this happened. Where else was she supposed to tell you?
So when that happens, you're supposed to, like, well, let me know. Okay, hear me out, right?
Yeah.
So I can come out and replace it or give her another machine.
Well, she didn't need you to do that because, and that's not in your handbook, by the way, but she didn't need you to do that because there was another guy with her who had a machine.
Right.
So they tried to finish a job with that machine.
Right.
So really, tú no pintas nada, as we say in Spanish. You don't paint anything in that picture.
Okay.
You're not an artist in that realm.
Right.
So they took care of it as best they could. And then as it turns out, one of your machines is 5 years old.
Right.
And I don't know in the industry if that makes it an antique.
Right.
Or not. I know it's double the warranty because I saw the information you gave me on the machine. The warranty's only 2 years. I just don't see how you have any evidence that this is her fault. Now, on your counterclaim against him, he withheld $600 from you of your paycheck?
Yeah, from 10 different jobs that I did because of damages.
Right. Since I'm finding that you don't have any evidence, including the best evidence for her is the affidavit you gave me of your employee, because one would think that if there was evidence against her, it would be from that employee. And on the contrary, he just says it broke. We stopped and we used mine.
I agree.
Yeah, it doesn't anywhere. Nowhere does it say she was running around with it like a lampshade on her head after smoking pot. Nothing. There's nothing about you misusing the machine or anything else. On your lawsuit against her, zero. For the same reason, on her lawsuit against you, I am ruling in her favor in the amount of the $600.
All rise.
Judge Millan has ruled in favor of the defendant. The plaintiff owes $600.
Any last remarks for each other?
I knew this cleaning company was doing dirty business.
Yeah, I just, you know, I was just trying to do a community service to somebody, and apparently I'm not I'm not good at it, so.
Coming up.
And I seen that he was so distressed that I took it upon myself to really want to help him plan the funeral.
Half the guest list that I invited was not there, and then half the guest list, I had no idea who these people were.
Closed captioning provided by Ellie Park claims the husband of her deceased friend was overwhelmed with grief, so she offered to plan the funeral. Harrison Benton says Miss Park invited people he didn't know and spent more than his budget allowed.
Ms. Park, you are suing Mr. Benton for $1,000 that you say he is responsible for because he promised to pay the expenses and he hasn't. Tell me what happened here.
His wife passed away last year, unfortunately, and
I'm sorry for your loss. She was a friend of yours too, right?
Yes, she was my former theater professor when I was a freshman in college. And so the day I came to visit him and Susan, he told me that Susan had passed away, and I seen that he was so distressed that I took it upon myself to really want to help him plan the funeral.
And he said, yeah?
Yes.
To do that?
Yes, and he said he would pay for it.
He would pay for it and you would prepare it?
Yes.
Tell me what you planned.
The service, we had to plan it. We planned it at the theater that she loved, which was the El Royale Theater. I had to plan the flowers. I wanted to make programs, curate a list of people that she's impacted, like her theater students. So that night, it was beautiful. It was so many people showed up, and it was kind of a celebration of life, you know, exactly like Susan would have wanted.
But you got a bill from the venue saying, hey, you guys went over, so you owe us another $1,000.
Yes, and they emailed me the next day.
Okay, and that's what you're here in court suing about because he refused to pay it.
Yes, he refuses to pay.
Did he tell you why?
He's just saying that I didn't plan it the way he would have liked it, and he's saying that I'm selfish for planning it in a way that he thinks it's more for me than for him.
Coming up.
She comes up and she taps me and says, hey, Vince, we have to have everybody out by 9 p.m.
Well, you knew that, though, because it was from 6 to 9.
I didn't know that.
Closed captioning provided by with Judge Millan. We're back with the case of Ellie Park, who brought Harrison Benton to court over funeral expenses.
Mr. Benton, what's going on?
Half the guest list that I invited was not there, and then half the guest list, I had no idea who these people were. Of course, everybody was smiling, and there was some great tributes that they gave, but again, I didn't know half of these people.
Right, but there is none so blind as he who will not see. You were in your moment of grief. You didn't want to be involved in the planning of the funeral, so you kind of left all of that in her hands. You gave her a list of who you wanted included, but you didn't say these and only these are the people who you will be inviting. You didn't ask for editorial anything. You left everything in her hands. Am I wrong about that?
You're correct, Your Honor. But it's safe to say that it would have been good to have the people that were on my list there.
What makes you think they weren't invited? Is there anyone from his list that you did not invite?
I invited everybody, but Your Honor, to mention it was a Monday night.
Okay.
So.
And it was a Monday night because that's the venue he wanted?
Yes, that was the venue he wanted.
Right. Why is it that she should eat the $1,000, do you think?
Well, Your Honor, if I may show you, the Venmos that I was happy to pay to the tune of $7,200, when as soon as it was requested, I paid it. Now, this is a planning error. This isn't about the money error. She planned the funeral. It was from 6 to 9. Now, let's say we're at the procession there, and she comes up and she taps me and says, "Hey, Vince, we have to have everybody out by 9 p.m.
Well, you knew that, though, because it was from 6 to 9.
I didn't know that. No, I didn't find out it was 6 to 9 until the next day. I stayed till 11:30, thinking everything was hunky-dory.
Did you ever tell him that it was from 6 to 9?
I mean, the service we planned was to 6 to 9.
Did the invitation say 6 to 9, or?
It just said doors open at 6.
Okay.
Judge Million's verdict when justice for the people returns. This is Justice for the People with Judge Million.
Did you ever tell him, like he's saying, hey, the venue is paid for till 9, we have to hustle everybody out of here unless we're willing to, because you know they were going to charge you extra if you stayed extra.
Yeah, I guess it slipped my mind during the day of that they did charge extra. They were going to charge extra until I got the bill the next day. During the moment, you know, we're trying our best to get through the day.
When did the details become something that you needed to pre-approve? Because it doesn't appear like you wanted any pre-approval of anything. I think it's really sad that we find ourselves here.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because did she charge you for planning the funeral?
No, Your Honor.
No.
Right. She did it out of the goodness of her heart because she loved your wife. You had no budget. You didn't give her a budget. No matter what she had presented to you, you were going to pay it. And then somehow afterwards, after you paid it, you're like, no, but that is too much. But this wouldn't be too much. But if you presented 10 grand, I would have paid that too. You have no idea how much money has been spent planning it. You didn't want to know. And now all of a sudden you want editorial discretion over how long it lasts, how much it costs, and now all of a sudden it's too much. I'm not buying it, and I'm going to order you to pay the $1,000 to the plaintiff.
All rise.
Judge Million has ruled in favor of the plaintiff. The defendant owes $1,000.
Any last remarks for each other?
The wrong funeral was planned.
I'm sorry, dude, whatever you're going through. Like,
Max Bratton claims his former co-worker owes him for a loan that was never paid back. Ryan Tamlin says he was working off the loan, but was sent packing before the deadline. Mr. Tamlin is countersuing for $900.
Mr. Bratton, you are suing Mr. Tamlin for $500 that you say he owes you in repayment of a loan. You are counterclaiming against him for $900 that you say he owes you. I'm going to start with you. Tell me what happened.
He's a former co-worker of mine. We worked together for about 2 years, and we actually got to know each other pretty well. I mentored him, and then there were some layoffs at the company that we worked for, and about a month after that, you know, I just want to check in on him, make sure he was okay, and turned out, based on our conversation, he was having a really tough time. And he ended up asking me for a loan of $500.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah. And, you know, in the 2 years that I got to know him, he never really asked for a loan like that before. It kind of felt like he really needed it. So, you know, I really wanted to help him out. I liked him. He's very talented.
So you loaned him the $500, and with the understanding was that he would pay you back when? You
know, I didn't give him an exact date. I just said as soon as possible. I knew that he'd been working some odd jobs, and it sounded like he was working really hard at getting another job. So I just assumed it would be within a reasonable amount of time.
But your opinion of what's a reasonable amount of time and his may be different. That's the problem with a reasonable amount of time.
Yes.
But that was the understanding. When he gets a job and he can pay you, he should pay you. All right, then what happens?
I checked on him monthly, Gave him a call. He was still looking. Called him again the following month, and he was still looking. No prospects, nothing. And then after the third month, it kind of became clear that he wasn't really looking for a new job. It just felt like he was stringing me along.
Okay.
And I was beginning to feel like I was being taken advantage of.
So you decided then?
He started crying over the phone, Judge. I decided to give him an opportunity to work this money off.
And work it off by doing what?
By building a website for my new company.
And what made you think he had that kind of talent?
Oh, because we'd worked together before.
So you've seen websites he's built for other people?
I've seen websites he's built for other people. I knew that we'd worked in a corporate environment where deadlines mattered. So I gave him a certain amount of time to get this website done.
How much time did you give him for the website to get done?
4 months, Your Honor.
And was the website done?
No. No.
All right. What was he able to get done in those 4 months?
An unsatisfactory amount of work. It was really, really disappointing.
All right. He calls you to see how you're doing, and you hit him up for money.
Yes.
Okay.
He called me, and after a month, he called me after a month. I got laid off from the company. He calls me just to check up on me, because we had a rapport and everything. So he called to check up on me. I tell him, hey, I got laid off. It's been rough, trying to find jobs and everything.
Can I have a few bucks?
And I have.
So you borrow $500, and when and how are you supposed to pay that money back?
Well, we agreed that once I got a job and I had sufficient income to pay him back, I would. And I was very thankful.
Let me ask you a question. What were you doing? What kind of job were you looking for?
We worked at a marketing firm, so I was working I know how to do website design, so I was looking to do something like that, like marketing.
All right, but in the meantime, throughout all those months that you owed him the money, did you take a job at McDonald's or somewhere else just to survive? What did you do?
I was doing odd jobs,
So you just didn't have. Did you make like a payment just so that he would know that you weren't forgetting him? Like, did you say to him, "Can I give you a little here, a little there"? Did you do anything to try to repay the loan?
I didn't do anything to repay the loan, but we had an agreement that I would pay him back once I was employed, and I was working on getting gainfully employed so I could pay him back.
So in any event, at some point, the deal entirely changes. You are going to do a website for him.
Yes.
Does it take 4 months for you to do a website?
That was the time that we agreed on to make. But then after 3 months, so he checked in with me monthly, right? I didn't have anything.
What exactly? Okay, besides saying you're working on it, what have you done in 2 months? That's what I want to know.
Coming up on Justice for the People.
I gave you more than enough time to not only find work,
No, you didn't.
But
You didn't give him the time
well, I
you
found
agreed
somebody
on.
else.
I didn't write the contract. You did.
Yeah,
I didn't dream the contract. You did.
And later.
And then in the middle of cooking, we hear a crash. Damien, your son, said, "I'm so sorry, the snow globe fell over. Come in."
So it was
and
an
see."
accident.
If you'll be in the Los Angeles, Judge Millian. We're back with a case of Max Bratton, who brought Ryan Tamlin to court over a tangled web of financial woes.
The first month I was brainstorming and working on the aesthetics, and the second month I was putting in the code, making sure if you click somewhere it works. But after 2 months, it's not feasible to show someone that because it's just a bunch of code and lines.
So you tell him you don't want to, excuse me, you tell him you don't want to show it to him yet, and then month 3 happens, and what happens?
Month 3 happens, and I have the meat of the website is done. Everything is, but the only thing is that aesthetically is not complete because we agreed on 4 months. But then after the third, and so I showed him the website after 3 months and everything, and I thought everything was good.
Wait, were you done when you showed it to him after 3 months?
No, I was not finished.
No. Okay, so when you say you thought everything was good, you mean, what did you mean?
I mean, we talked. I showed him the website. I showed him that everything was functioning and everything, but it wasn't the 4 months yet. So the last month is to make everything pretty and marketable, so people will come and use the website.
Okay.
But so we talked, and I showed him the website, and I thought everything was good because it wasn't the 4 months yet, right? And so, but then the very next day, he reaches out and says, "Oh, I'm actually going to be I'm going to be going with someone else and have them to work on the website."
So, but he he didn't. So he doesn't end up using any of the stuff you did.
No.
But you feel it is unfair to have you working all that time and then not give you any credit for the work that you did.
Yes.
Because you feel he pulled the rug out from under you before it was time.
Yes.
He didn't give you the full 4 months.
I have a log of all the things that I did in those 3 months and the hours that I worked.
Let me see that.
Just a log.
Why did you pull the rug out from under him before the fun? Like, you were so patient all the other times. I'm wondering why you didn't just wait until the 4 months were over.
I mean,
and then I haven't asked my question yet. And then say, once he gives you the finished product, that's acceptable, that's not acceptable. You know what? I don't want your product. Give me the $500. You know, whatever it is coming to your head. But why don't you at least give him that other month for him to go ahead and finish it?
I'm growing my own business, Your Honor. This is something that I've been very passionate about for a long time. That 4 month period, yes, I said 4 months, but I know what he can do. So I fully expected him to be done with this well before the 4 month period. So that's why when he showed me what he had,
then why did you give him 4 months? You muddied the waters, because if your contract is he has 4 months to give you a finished product, in 3/4 of the way through you pulled the plug. So what am I supposed to do? Say, oh no, now you worked for 3 months, but now you got to pay the $500. I mean, what was your theory behind pulling the plug 1 month in advance of the time that you had given him?
I was giving him extra time because I know he's also out there looking for other
but you're
work.
not. I know. Then what made you change your mind and not give him the extra time?
Because he gave me this, Your Honor. If I may, please show me.
Yeah, you may, but if it's not done, it's not done. If you wait until the 4 months are over and then what he gives you is unacceptable, that's one thing. What does this page represent? Explain things to me.
It's the main layout of the thing, but it's not pretty. But everything is functional.
No, it's not a matter of pretty. Where do you click on things?
On the top row. On the top row, you see all those it's still kind of bare because I didn't have enough time to put the aesthetics into it. But everything functionally works. If you click something, it brings you to another page.
All right. So how much more work did you have?
It was just the last month was all working on cosmetics.
After what he showed me, I dropped this clown because I gave you more than enough time to not only find work,
didn't.
But
you didn't give him the time you agreed on.
Else.
I didn't write the contract. You did.
Yeah,
I didn't dream the contract. You did. I didn't enter the contract verbally with him. You did. So you decide that you're going to give him 4 months, and then you change the parameters, but you want me to say his work is worthless. You can't pull the plug beforehand because then it's you who's breaching. You see? I mean, listen, you're a businessman. You didn't like what you saw. You didn't have a lot of time left. You can make all the decisions you want. Absolutely. You're large and in charge. But here's the deal. You're coming to court then and saying, and you got to pay me $500. If you were just at home and saying, forget it, I'm pulling the plug, I'm cutting my losses, okay. But that's not what you're doing. You're coming to court and saying, you breached the contract because I don't like what you've done so far. That's not how it works. So I'm going to order you to pay back a portion of the loan since you didn't end up having to do the rest of the work, $125 for him. The $900 is just you making that up. The only thing that was ever supposed to happen was the $500 were supposed to be forgiven. So tell me the math on your $900.
The $900 is, I did $30 an hour for all the work that I did, right?
What contract is that? This is the first time I've heard that contract. Did he ever enter into that contract?
The $30 is just like a base amount of pay for the work that I've done.
You weren't being offered for this job, were you? That may be, first of all, if you were getting $30 an hour, where you been for 4 months when you owed him the $500? So this $30 an hour thing is completely made up in your mind right now in front of me for this case. But I cannot enforce a contract you didn't enter into. You can't just decide the contract you wish you'd done. Oh, I wish I'd charged him $30 an hour. Where are you coming from? On your counterclaim against him, 0. On his claim against you, a portion of the money, $125. That's what's fair.
All rise.
Judge Millian has ruled in favor of the plaintiff. The defendant owes $125.
I mean, it's not $500, you know. That's fine with me, I guess.
You got lucky. You owe me so much money. $125. Merry Christmas.
Coming up.
My son Damien, which she doesn't like.
Why doesn't she like Damien?
Damien is not her
He's
brother.
Your child from another man.
Yes.
So what?
Closed captioning provided for the people with Judge Millian. Rachel Tompkins claims her former sister-in-law's child smashed a treasured snow globe. Jessica Sullivan says the plaintiff is to blame for the accident because she didn't stop the kids from roughhousing.
Ms. Tompkins, you are suing Ms. Sullivan, your former sister-in-law?
Yes.
Okay. For $595.36 because, according to you, a snow globe her child broke was her responsibility to replace. Tell me what happened.
Yeah, so I have these weekly family dinners, and my ex-sister-in-law and my brother got divorced a couple years ago. About 6 months after the divorce, I reached out because my kids and her kids are still friends, and I want to keep the
How
cousins.
many kids do you have?
I have 3 kids, and she has 2.
Okay.
So my
Are
son
they
and
similar
her
ages?
Yeah, my son and her son are the same age. My daughter, her daughter are the same age.
Okay.
A few months after the divorce, reached out to see if she'd be willing to come back to those dinners, and she agreed, and so we started doing that. For the first few weeks, it was great. It was fun to be all back together again. And then around the same time that my brother started being serious with a new partner, Jessica kind of started just dropping her kids off for the dinner, but not staying herself.
Okay, but hold on. All
Yeah.
right. Tell me about this snow globe. $595.36 for a snow globe? I mean, I never.
I never either. My godmother gave it to my husband and I as a wedding present for our 5-year wedding anniversary.
How big was it, or how intricate was it, or what
it was a standard size snow globe, but it had this like gold plating and
interesting.
Yeah, it was nothing like I had ever seen before, but it became a really...
No, I like to see how the other half lives.
Coming up.
Did you feel uncomfortable when you were there?
Yeah, very much so.
Is there anything she did that made you feel uncomfortable, or you just, the whole thing just got uncomfortable for you?
The whole thing got uncomfortable for me.
Closed captioning with Judge Millian. We're back with the case of Rachel Tompkins, who blames Jessica Sullivan for a shattered snow globe.
Where was the snow globe?
So it was sitting on a coffee table, end table situation on the back side of a couch.
Did you stop her from leaving and say, no, I'm not watching your kids?
I asked if she would be staying for dinner this time, and she said no, she had a really urgent errand to run.
Okay, so you agreed to watch the children while she went in the
I did.
All right,
Yeah,
and
the
then
kids
what
had already run
happens?
inside. They were playing kind of rough sounding, like the boys were wrestling, the girls were kind of cheering them on. And then in the middle of cooking, we hear a crash. Damien, your son, said, I'm so sorry, the snow globe fell over, come in.
So it was
and
an
see."
accident.
It was an accident.
According to all the children, it was an accident.
My son, Jeremy, and your son, Damien, were the ones who were wrestling. Jeremy, I could hear yelling, kind of like, okay, like this is, you're playing too rough, like let's...
Well, you don't think he picked up her snow globe and trashed it on purpose?
Absolutely not. But
So it was because the boys were wrestling, which apparently you knew and let go on. When did you tell her you wanted her to pay for the snow globe?
When she came to pick up Damien.
And what did she say?
No.
When did you first find out that this tragedy with the snow globe had happened?
She basically texted me saying that my son Damien, which she doesn't like.
Why doesn't she like Damien?
Damien is not her
He's
brother.
your child from another man.
Yeah.
Yes, so what? What does that have to... I mean, so we're all from somebody. Why does that mean she doesn't like Damien? She's inviting him. But she's inviting him over every Sunday.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to...
Where do you get the idea that she doesn't like Damien?
Last Christmas, for instance, she gave him a 2-year-old Lego set.
All
so
right. Before the divorce, how was your relationship with your sister-in-law?
Oh, before the divorce is great. I mean, like...
And was the divorce somebody's fault or nobody's fault?
It was divorce because John was seeing someone else.
Okay. Is it the person he's with now?
Yes.
Did you feel uncomfortable when you were there?
Yeah, very much so.
Is there anything she did that made you feel uncomfortable, or the whole thing just got uncomfortable for you?
The whole thing got uncomfortable for me.
Judge Millian's verdict when justice for the people returns. Promotional consideration provided by Judge Millian.
Why, Rachel, would you think that Jessica should be responsible for paying for the expensive snow globe because it's her kid?
I believe if she had been there, like the original setup was supposed to be, I don't think this would have happened.
Okay, but then that may be true. But then where do I put the fact that you let her not be there? The situation I have is that you and your husband are 100% supposed to be watching the kids. You can hear them wrestling, so that's lovely. But then these are the consequences of it, and she didn't inappropriately supervise her child. You inappropriately supervised the child. If he was able to break something valuable because you let the roughhousing go on in your house, even though you were hearing it and you didn't put a stop. The girls are cheering them on and they're rough. Okay, it's fine with you. It's fine with me too. It's fine with her too. You know, it's not fine with the snow globe. But that's something that is 100% entirely within your control. In this situation, there is no parental liability on her part. You were in charge of the children, and therefore you would be the one who's supposed to be supervising them.
Judge Milyan has ruled in favor of the defendant. The plaintiff's claim is denied.
I think it's great. I think I don't owe you anything, Rachel.
I'm disappointed that this is the way that it turned out, but most importantly is our kids' relationship, so I hope that you can find a.
Xin chào mừng các bạn đã quay lại về kênh của mình. Hôm nay thì chúng ta sẽ cùng nhau đến với một bài thơ nữa trong chùm chủ đề về các hiện tượng tự nhiên. Đó là bài thơ Mưa. Bây giờ thì các bạn sẽ cùng mình đọc một lượt, lắng nghe mình đọc một lượt trước tiên nhé. Bài thơ Mưa. Mưa ở trên trời, mưa rơi xuống đất. Vừa ngồi trong nước, đã nhào ra sân. Mưa không có chân, ở đâu cũng đến. Bài thơ rất là hay, ngắn gọn, xúc tích nhưng rất là ý nghĩa, đúng không nào? Bài thơ nói về một hiện tượng tự nhiên mà chắc chắn là ai cũng biết, đó là trời mưa, đúng không? Khi trời mưa thì làm sao nhỉ? Tất cả mọi cảnh vật dường như là thay đổi này. Trước khi trời mưa đến thì khung cảnh như thế nào? Gió thổi, mây đen kéo đến, làm cho những cái lá ở trên cây nó rụng xuống. Những dòng người ở trên đường thì vội vã đi thật nhanh để về nhà, đúng không nào? Và khi mà những hạt mưa bắt đầu rơi xuống lục đục thì mọi thứ thì trở lên mát mẻ hơn rất là nhiều, không còn cái hơi nóng của mùa hè nữa. Và mưa thì rồi bắt đầu dày hơn, với những hạt mưa rơi rào, đúng không nào? Lúc này thì cây cối thì như là được thêm một bộ quần áo mới, thỏa thê vạn vật, thỏa thê tắm mát trong những cơn mưa mùa hè đấy các bạn ạ. Bài thơ rất là hay, chúng mình sẽ cùng nhau học thuộc bài thơ này nhé. Mời các bạn cùng đọc với mình nào. Mưa. Mưa ở trên trời, mưa rơi xuống đất. Mưa ngồi trong nước, đã nhào ra sân. Mưa không có chân, ở đâu cũng đến. Vậy là hôm nay thì chúng ta đã cùng nhau đi đọc, hiểu được cái bài thơ Mưa này rồi, đúng không nào? Ngày mai chúng mình sẽ cùng nhau đến với một bài thơ nữa. Đó là bài thơ Kể cho bé nghe. Các bạn sẽ cùng mình khám phá bài thơ Kể cho bé nghe trong video ngày mai nhé. Còn bây giờ thì thời lượng của kênh đã hết rồi. Cảm ơn các bạn đã xem và quan tâm video cũng như kênh của mình. Hy vọng là các bạn sẽ like và subscribe để ủng hộ kênh các bạn nhé. Chúc các bạn có một buổi tối thật là vui vẻ. Và hãy nhớ là học thuộc bài thơ Mưa để chúng mình kể cho ông bà, bố mẹ và bạn bè cùng nhau nghe nha. Tạm biệt tất cả các bạn. Chúc các bạn có một buổi tối thật là vui vẻ và hạnh phúc bên gia đình nhà mình nha. Bye bye.